Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you're listening to and watching, hopefully, the Dr. Laurie Davis Show. And Tuesday, one of my favorite days to broadcast because I always have my special friend with me, Ramin Modiri, our money man.
Hi.
Yeah, good day. Welcome to the show again. Our co host. He's moved up. He's no longer a guest, he's a co host. And I love having a co-host. And on Friday, we had a great time with Prince Fleet Easton. We talked about the life and times of Johnny Cash. And I'm bringing that up because today Ramin is going to talk about music, musicians, and money.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a volatile combination. We're streaming live right now on E360 TV, also on our YouTube channel, Laurie Davis Show Host. You just search that. And also Self-Worth, the Missing Link Superstars. And so we're having a string of superstars online here these past couple of weeks. So, Ramin, music, musicians, and money. What inspired you to do that?
That's first of all, good morning, Dr. Laurie, and good morning, everyone. It is my favorite day too. So I really enjoy sharing this time with you and our audience. So it's yes. First of all, I don't know if I had shared this before. My grandfather, he was a musician. He played violin.
Oh,
And my dad started playing violin at age 5. My dad was a classical musician. He actually got his advanced degrees from Wesleyan University in Connecticut, which is one of the top music schools in the world in composition and orchestration. So he was a classical musician. He played in the symphony orchestras in New England and San Diego. But prior to that, he actually had composed 250 pieces, pop music. So
what?
since I was a child, as in my youth, I would have, you know, the poets coming to our house, or we would meet with all the pop music, singers. And so music was a big part of our house. And I grew up with that. And although it's interesting that, my dad played violin. I think in my life I've touched violin twice to carry it, basically. Never played it, never had interest. I loved, I played piano and keyboard. Well, I mean, not really academically but I love it. It's a wonderful music is just wonderful, and anyone who um, wants to improve their mental clarity, it's a great tool to have. So speaking of that, and I thought that would be an interesting subject, again, working on money, investing, and trading. Are there any lessons we can learn from musicians? And one of the things that comes to our mind when we think about artists, and I know as human beings, we like to label things. We think about right brain and left brain. We think about right brain, people who are creative, they have imagination, expression. And then when you think about left brain, we think about logical people, you think about math, and you think about analytical thinking and language. But the interesting thing about musicians, which is a specific part of the artist, the musicians actually have both. And that's what makes it very interesting when you think about people who are really want to have clarity learning about math. Playing piano or any type of instruments really helps you with that, and the vice versa. So that's the reason I think we can learn a lot about what is the tools that they use and how we can take advantage of it when it comes to, as I mentioned, to investing and money. So here we go. I think these are the few attributes that I have used. So I will share that with you, what I have learned from the, again, musicians. And then what I'm going to do, the second part of our conversation, if you don't mind, I'm going to make it a little lighthearted. And it's going to be about music, what we learn from the music of money. So I've come up with about a list of 24, my top songs about money.
I love
And
it.
you will see, a
I love it.
commonality of those. So that will be a little lighthearted. So I will talk about what we learned from musicians, what I've learned, and I've had some mentored some traders who were musicians. I think the most important thing about musicians and any artist is their creativity. When I talk about creativity, is they are not bounded in a box. They think outside the box. And as an investor and trader, one of the faults that we have on a traditional way is we follow the structure, we follow what is in front of us and never go beyond that. We never expand on the unforeseen events, for instance. So that's why the musicians are very good because of that creativity. They can see, visualize things that could happen, which we haven't counted on. So that is something that they have advantage, and I would encourage any investor and trader to think about what ifs, not just because somebody recommended or I'm seeing this at this moment. The second attribute I give to the musicians is they're continuously learning. If you have noticed, they're always practicing, they're looking at things, they are trying to figure out things, but they're continuously expanding on their knowledge. And as an investor or trader, we have to be student of the markets and continuously learning. The third thing, that's another C. So we got two C's. And my third C is any good musician. I'm not talking about just, I'm talking about good musician. They're pretty confident. Once they get on a roll, boy, when they play, they not only enjoy it, but they are confident in what they are doing. And as a trader investors, we have to be confident in our skills. There's a difference, so not overconfident. And that's, if you recall, we had like biases that we talked about.
Mhm, mhm.
Advisors, even, or the fund managers, sometimes they go beyond and they go to overconfidence, which is actually has a negative impact. But confident is important because it gives us the tool to go forward. So those are our three C's. I'm gonna have three P's. So number four is that they have they the P of they're patient and they practice and practice and practice. So as an investor and trader, again, we have to be patient. We have to be available for the opportunities, but we cannot jump ahead. We let the opportunities to come to us, and we have to constantly practice, practice, practice. And if you've seen some of uh, the most seasoned, let's say, piano players, or I remember my dad. He would play 3 or 4 hours a day when he had the chance, and he would do that. And as a pianist, they do. I don't care if they've been playing for 80 years; they still practice because, and any professional. You think about athletes; they do free throws on basketball for hours. So, number five. This is what makes the difference between artists like a musician and, let's say, other artists, because of all the technicality. Let's say we look at the major and minor scales or triads. There's a structured music and it's a pattern, and we call it pattern recognition. Any composer you talk to, any type of music is not random. There's a structure to it, and they use that. And when you think about orchestration, now, like Beethoven, he was not the most. When you think about the melodies, it's very much repeated. Like something that it was simple to play, but his orchestration was amazing. So that's what makes a difference. So they see that, and that's what it comes to the mathematical skills. That's what it
Mhm.
helps us. So somebody who, if you notice, plays musical instruments, or the vice versa, someone who's math can do that, they become very good at it, and it does that pattern recognition, which is very important in trading, for instance, in investing, seeing the repetition of things, looking at, like, for instance, I look at charts and graphs, and you can see the certain behavior and that becomes pattern. And also in science it happens. So that's what it makes it, again, that differentiates that. The sixth thing is passion. Real musicians, I mean, that could be their fault as well. They can play for free. They love what they do. When they enjoy, they play with passion, and they can go for hours and hours and days and years because they really enjoy it. So as an investor and trader, the trader, it's not supposed to be fun. I mean, it's not, trading is business, but the most serious traders, they do have a passion for what they're doing. So that's my sixth. Number seven criteria or attribute I would give them is they're adaptable. Now, if you have seen any musician who improvises, when we think about jazz fusion, for instance, and you can see what they can recognize things, but they can improvise if the environment changes. Let's say they're playing in a mood that they want to change the mood, or the music likes to be changed. They are very good in that, and that's, as a trader and investor, we have to be adaptable. The markets are not predictable, so we have to learn to adapt to our environment, and also be reactive to it, in a sense that knowing that when is the time, for instance, to quit, when it's time to change. So we cannot be just very rigid. And number eight, it comes to they evaluate what they have, and they use metrics. And I talk about metrics like they use tempo, they use pitch. And us as investors, like in portfolio management, we have to evaluate what holdings we have, what investments we have. Are we investing in stocks, in bonds, in commodities, and manage all that, but use a metrics? There has to be a measuring stick. How do we know we are successful or not? And it's not just about the money side. Money is a portion of it. So we cannot say, oh, my portfolio is $1 million, so I'm very successful. Well, that $1 million can go down to 700, 600,000 at no time with the environment that could be in. So it's all about evaluating it, constantly watching it. And that's what it makes the musicians a very, again, interesting group, because they are constantly looking at the metrics. They look at do they have the right pitch? Do they have the right tempo? So those are there's more stuff. They work like when you're in a band, you have to work with the others, for instance. As a trader, we do, as a portfolio manager, it might work. As a trader or investor, basically we are on our own. So it's a little different. So it's a short version, but I just thought we can learn from everyone. But specifically, again, I've been around the musicians, and I thought, as someone who's traded for a long time, I found that musicians to be good traders and investors. Now, they're culprit. So there's a difference now. There could be good investors or traders if they want to. The culprit is, we talked about their creativity and going outside the box. So what happens is, a lot of time they have this free spirit. A lot of artists do. They're idealist. And what happens, a lot of time they don't become good business people or entrepreneurs. So they can be good investors, but not maybe good entrepreneurs or business people, because the value of what they look at is different than maybe the business community looks at. They love their freedom, for instance, and sometimes they don't make right decisions when it comes to the business side. And they don't really think about finances. Sometimes they can play for free. I mean, they can have, as long as they're enjoying it. Money is not an object. So it is. It goes back to our original thought, and we talked about that. How do we define wealth? Is the wealth is only in the financial situation, the materials we have accumulated, or is it the freedom of time, or is it the freedom of thought or movement? So basically that's their culprit. So one lesson I like when we talk about trading, as I mentioned, trading is a business. We can be good traders, but we have to also think that this is a real business. So, and that's the culprit, I would say, and that's where their shortcoming happens. So, if there's in our
Mhm.
musicians, you know, you can take 100 shades of entrepreneurship, and that's
There you go.
see?
They all need to be there so
Yes,
we can show them the ropes.
yeah. So being entrepreneur is a skill and has to be learned. So that's just in a nutshell and just a short version of what I've learned from musicians in my business and what I would give them maybe a little advice. So
Mhm.
that's um, that's a little version of that. Now we talked about musicians, so I thought now that we know about musicians, well, they put their thoughts on paper. They write songs. So, what about if I come up with some of my favorite or top songs about money?
Sure.
Now, when we think about money, I mean all these songs, you will see I would say about four common traits. Number one is money's not good, or money's not everything, right? So you will see that part of it. On the other hand, you will see that money is good. Let's make a lot of money. So there's quite a few songs about having that money, and we can do good with that money. Number three is about dreaming what money can do for us. So we don't have it, we won't have it, but what if we had it? So there's about dream, and that's another commonality. And then the fourth one is marrying to money. You will hear a lot of things about, um, especially female singers. Sometimes they do that. Even male singers that, well, let's go find a rich man, or they come from a rich family, but marrying that money. So those are the common themes. So I would like to share that list with our audience. So, and I would love to hear your comments, obviously. So, all right. The number one song for me, and probably one of the top songs ever, regardless of the genre, genre is "Money" by Pink Floyd. It's
Oh,
1973, "Dark Side of the Moon," which is just the cover itself is classic, but the song is interesting. That talks about more of a maybe negative side of the money, and so I would say that would be I mean, obviously, it's a great song, but it's will be number one about money.
what's the title again?
Money,
Just money.
Pink Floyd,
Yeah.
1973. Number two, again, it is all related to money, so they just number
Right.
two is "Money, Money, Money" by ABBA.
Yes.
That
Money.
was in 1976, became a great hit, and of course, ABBA became the top selling band, especially pop and those disco times and pop music. So that's about again marrying the money, right? So money, money. Woman looks for a rich man. It's like a rich man's world, and so that's number two. Number three. Now we go about again, money is not everything. And believe it or not, Beatles have written a lot of quite a few songs about money. So number three title for me is "Can't Buy Me Love."
I was going to say that. I
Yeah.
was going to
So
say
there's that money that so "Can't Buy Me Love." That's what the money can do. So it is a beautiful song to begin with. But that's about actually again how sometimes could money be limited. Um, And speaking of Beatles, in the Abbey Road, in the last album in 1969, which has an iconic, the four of them walking on the,
right.
and
Right.
so on that song, the song is about "You Never Give Me Your Money."
Oh,
That's number four. And again, they've had few, but "You never give me your money." So it's like
right.
that's
Yeah.
1969 song. So that's
Wow.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's again about friendship. I'm gonna fast forward to more to our century now and millennia. Uh, Lady Gaga, actually, she's written a few songs too, but "Money Honey," and that will be sometime again. Fast forward to our
Mhm.
times. I think it was 2012 or so, but yeah, that's Lady Gaga. Um, then I'm gonna go back to 1970s and to the OJ's, 1973, and it's called "For the Love of Money." That's OJ's, and that's a really cool song too. So that's number six. Number seven, gonna get a little hard rock, is by AC/DC, "Money Talks." And again, it talks about the influence of money. And this was it done in 1990. So it was not one of their early 80s, late 70s. It was 1990. They came up with the song "Money Talks." One of my all-time favorite bands, guitar players, Mark Knopfler, wrote that's Dire Straits in 1985, and the title was "Money for Nothing." And again, it's critical of money, what money can do, and it had some explicit words. It was like one of the first MTV videos, if I'm not mistaken. So it or winners of the MTV video. So, "Money for Nothing" is Dire Straits.
Mhm.
Number nine, it goes back to early 1980s. One of my favorite singers, actually, those days was Donna Summer. She
Oh
worked
yeah.
hard for the money. Again, this is about what we have to do for the money to, you know, pay the bills and other things. And it's again the female. She works hard for the money. And staying in the same era, a little maybe a year or two here
Mhm.
later, Cyndi Lauper sang "Money Changes Everything,"
Mhm.
and that was early 1980s. So that's my top 10. So now we're gonna move to number 11. We are staying in mid 1980s again, and that was Pet Shop Boys sang "Opportunities." Now this one talks about so it's opportunities. Let's make lots of money. It's a very catchy song, and talks about, yeah, we got to make a lot of money, and they're gonna take advantage of the opportunities, and that's mid 80s. So it's an interesting song. Number 12 is now Patti Smith. She was in late 70s. She was a punk, but also rock guitarist and singer. And "Because the Night" was her biggest hit. But she wrote a song called "Free Money." And "Free Money" was again, it was in late 70s. I think it was like 1978 or 9. And the song is, or 76 actually. The song was about, she came from a very humble beginning. So she remembers her mom dreaming about buying a lottery ticket and winning it all. So again, being poor and thinking about dreaming about lottery and winning it, and this is about her mom, and that's called "Free Money," and that's what the lottery does. So,
Mhm.
all right, now we go to the 12 again. I have 24, so we start in the second half of our group. Is This is more newer song. Again, it's you probably have heard it. "I Want to Be a Billionaire." So very, very bad. And that was Travie McCoy and Bruno Mars. And that was a big hit. And again, our dreams, what we want to be, and we want to, he wants to be on the cover of Forbes magazine, when they have the top 400 billionaires. So it's not about millionaire, it's about billionaires. So number 14 is "Easy Money" by Billy Joel. And he still is around. So number 15, this is again in late 1970s, is "Take the Money and Run" by Steve Miller Band. Now, this is what again. it talks about when the opportunity, when you get the money, just get the hell, excuse the language, get the
Yeah.
out of there. Just take the money and get out. And one of my favorite movies, if you haven't watched it, is Woody Allen movie. It was again 1970s. Take the Money and Run. That's the title, and it's a Woody Allen, and it's very funny. I mean, it's one of the creative movies I've seen. Um, and number 16 is Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. The name of the song is Make the Money. And this is, again, more of a newer version. Again, it's come to our century. So Make the Money by Macklemore. We're going to have some hip hop songs here too, because it's really, when you think about rap music and hip hop music, it's a lot rooted in our again upbringing and our environment. So you see there's quite a few songs, and of course money plays a role again, whether in a good way and a bad way. So there was a song called Cream, which is actually Cream. It was a rap song, and what that stands, actually, Cream is cash rules everything around me. That's what
Oh,
Cream.
wow.
So that's the song about. It was by Wu-Tang Clan, and it was a hit in 1997, and it talks about, again, having cash, and again, it was more of a rap hip hop song. Um, Now, this one is interesting. If you have a chance listening to this was a song in 1979, and it says, "Money, that's what I want. Money, money, that's what I want." And the band was the Flying Lizards. Get a chance to listen to it. It's really interesting. The vocals are not the greatest, but it's a fun song, and it has a nice beat. But it's all about money. That's what I want. So it solves a lot of problems. Now we're going back, marrying the money, and using, whether it's marriage or relationships. There was a hit song in 2005 called "Gold Digger," and that was by Kanye West. And Kanye West, he's making
Mhm.
lots of
Mhm.
songs and make a lot of money. But yeah, that's called Gold Digger. And staying with the rap and hip hop kind of a genre, number 20 is Mo Money, Mo Problems. And we say is Mo, it's just M-O, money, M-O, problems. And that was by Notorious B.I.G. Notorious B.I.G. Gonna make it now a little more uh, classic. But well, before I do that, I will just gonna switch the number because I want to get to the relationships. But there's another really fun song. Is about title is, again, it's just money, like Pink Floyd, is money, and the band was called Drums. And this song came in 2011, and it has a really nice beat to it, and it talks about what money can do and cannot do. So that's my number 21. So number 22 and on is all about relationships again. Number 22 is by Lana Del Rey. So it's just more of a jazzy kind of, if you like, more modern jazz. It was done in 2012, and it's called $1 Million Man. And this song is about a relationship with a man that, even though he has hurt her and done things to her, she still loves him and wants to stay in a relationship. And that's the title comes. Number 23 is called She's a Rich Girl. It was a big hit in early 1980s for Hall and Oates. And she's a rich girl. And the last one I have, and we can have a conversation, is by Madonna, the Material Girl. That's a Marilyn Monroe style, and that's about how she wants diamonds and everything else. So that is my top 24. There are many more, but these are the ones that I've listened to. I know, I think Rihanna has a song about money, and there's quite a few other ones, but these were my top 24. And again, you have to remember the musicians, the lyricists, they come from real life. So the things that they write, there's a lot we can learn about the, the not only just the feelings, but the environment that we grow up. And a lot of times, what happens, we get scars that we cannot really take care of it, but it's part of us. And I use that a lot in our generations. When we think about investing, a lot of people who grew up in Great Depression, for instance, they would never touch stocks for the life of them. If I told them you can make 50%, it's just that scars stay with you. On
Right.
the other hand, the kids who grew up like in 1990s, they think that's the easiest money to be made. So that's basically stock markets are doing good. So it all depends. We go to these inflation, for instance, people who grew up in 1950s, for instance, and were born in 1950s, they remember 1960s and 70s, the high inflation. They think that life is, it's very limited. They will not invest in bonds, for instance, or fixed income. People who were born in 1980s and they saw 1990s and they never saw inflation. So they think, and the bonds were doing great, interest rates were very low. So they think that's how life works. So it all depends what generation, what time we were born. And that's why these songs are important, because I think they're a reflection of our history and what they share. And that's what I really find music, poetry. It is not just, to dance to, it makes definitely changes our mood. It does, but there's a lot of depth into it once you listen to it, and there's a lot of meaning to it. Even the beats themselves tell us, whether it's the sadness or if it's happiness. And but that's what I thought to share with you, something the light heart of the music, what we could learn, and the musicians. And um, anyway, so that's what I have. So
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I wrote all of those songs down because I plan to go into YouTube and look them up and take notes.
okay.
So that's going to be something that I do. Also, a few days ago, someone said to me, well, there's no point in accumulating anything because now in my generation, people are downsizing and purging and wanting to get rid of things. And I'm not like that at all. I'm always figuring out how can I biggie size everything. I'm not interested in that. I've done it. I'm here right now. I'm not planning to stay there. But it's that sense of you can't take it with you. I heard that. There's no sense in accumulate. I don't know why we accumulated all this stuff, all this money. We can't take it with us. And I said, no, you can't take it with you, but you can sure enjoy it while you're here. That's what it's for, that beautiful home or that piece of jewelry or money in the bank. That's for us to enjoy while we're here. It's on loan to us to make life easier or to do what we want to do. So a lot of people in my generation right now, I've got friends who are like just freaking out because they're trying to get rid of this and rid of that and things that they've had in the family for years, and the kids don't want the stuff, and it's just craziness. But anyway, so I am going to listen to those songs, and I loved the attributes that you created that connect from musician to trader. I only you would come up with something like that. I mean, that's brilliant. Where did anybody ever hear that before? I know I didn't, so I'm always learning from you. And I'm looking at those attributes, and they're also very necessary Like you said, to be a successful entrepreneur, we have to have those same attributes to be creative, to be a lifelong learner, to be confident, patient, recognizing patterns, and having passion, being adaptable, and a value placed on what we have. And you are so right about all of that. But that applies to so many things. But to connect the musical side to the trading side, that's pretty interesting. Just saying. I'm thinking nobody's ever thought of that. So listen up, people. Listen up. All right. Um, Anything else around the, let me see, out of all of these songs, my number three would be Can't Buy Me Love.
Mm-hmm.
And because, of course, when I was a teenager, the Beatles, that was, I would, uh, not Elvis, not Beatles, that was it. And when their songs come on now, I can sing every single word of pretty much every single song. That's how intense music is. Isn't it not what separates us from the animals, right? That synchronicity of being able to create music. That's amazing. And Donna Summer, I loved her stuff too, working hard for the money. So you gave us some really good insights. And Billy Joel, another big fan I am of him. Yeah, and ABBA, of course, right? I went to see ABBA, the
Oh,
yeah, in New York, actually, Broadway.
oh, right, right, right,
I mean the show ABBA, not the
right.
group, not the band, but the show, and it was amazing. So, what else have we got to say about money and music? And also, too, I just on a lighthearted side, uh, if you have lots of money, you can buy lots of music and invest in lots of music. Because back in the day, no, there was no streaming, and we had to buy the music, whether it was a disc or a vinyl. Oh, here's something I did when I house cleaned this weekend. We have a stereo that Ron purchased probably, I don't know, 1985. You know, it has the bigger speakers and beautiful sound and
Mm.
vinyls. So we never used it. It was in the front room there. And I encouraged him to let me have it and move it upstairs to the bedroom. So when
Nice.
I'm getting ready for my day in the morning, I'm up there now. I've done it 3 mornings now. I'm up there with the vinyls and I put one on while I'm getting dressed for the day and ready to work and whatever. And I have to say, it's really been therapeutic because it's all the stuff that I love and it's soothing and it's easy listening and it's a variety, a mix of things. But yeah, so that's why I'm making use of my of the stereo in the bedroom because I we moved the television out of there. I can't stand a TV in the bedroom. So for obvious reasons. And the music is there and I
Oh,
love it.
that's great. Yeah, again, music is just it's
So
amazing.
how's that for being out of the box? Put your stereo
Yeah,
in the bedroom.
that's
Sorry, I interrupted you. What were you
no,
going
no,
to
that's great. No, I think we've shared before. I mean, I have about 4,000 vinyl records, and it's funny how not only the records themselves, but the covers are actually sometimes more valuable. And it goes back to 1970. So I got quite a few of them sitting in storage now. I've taken a few of them, including The Dark Side of the Moon, the original, 1973, and got a few of them. So once in a while, yes, I do listen to them. Mine is not in the bedroom, but it's in the hallway. I listen to some of those, and there's just a different feel. I know we have nowadays you have the streaming, Spotify, and then the Amazon
It's not the
on
same.
music. They're all, but there's just something about that scratchy, no, sometimes
I
scratchy.
know.
It's I have all the Beatles, for instance, collection. I have lots of Elvis, for instance, and these are go back. I mean, they'll go
Yeah.
back to those years, and it's a beautiful feel to have that. And again, I think music as a trader. So I'm going to go the other side. How the music actually relieves me from the thoughts of the day, takes me to a completely different world. As I mentioned, I never had really I tried to play piano and keyboard, and I really enjoy it after like thinking all kind of we talk about left side of brain,
Side.
analyzing all that, coming and just sit down and improvise, just play. It it's the best and the cheapest stress relief. The sports and I think music, and that's why we want to encourage our youth and our children to go that route. It's a lot cheaper than psychologists and therapists and all that. And this is something productive. Your brains constantly, the dendrites they produce and they get the connections, and that's what it's the music is fascinating. It gives you the clarity of thoughts as well. So as a trader, we can also use the music to, like you said, it could be soothing. And some of the best, as you know, thoughts come when you're in that um, relaxing mode and come up with great thoughts. And one thing I also add, I mentioned before, again, we're talking about traders. It's funny, when we think about trading, we think even investing, a mathematician will be a great trader, which there are some really good attributes, which we'll talk in our class on our
Mhm.
100 Shades of Prosperity. We'll talk about probabilities and statistics, which are very important. But some of the greatest traders are, artists, as I just mentioned, because of their outside the box thinking, airline pilots, dentists. So it's not like you would think accountants would be good traders because they work with numbers all the time. They're not good traders or investors at all. Accountants
Mhm.
do not, although they just dig through this. Engineers are not the greatest because they're too analytical, so they are
Right.
very rigid. So they can program things, and especially now with the AI and artificial intelligence,
Right.
but they are not. When as a trader, they're difficult to train, for instance. But as I mentioned, artists. We've talked about poker players, for instance, and blackjack players. They they are good at managing risk, but also seeing the probabilities and odds. So just because somebody specializes in scientific things has nothing to do with being successful in investing or basically in trading. So I just want to bring so that people who are like in liberal arts or maybe they were philosophy major, for instance, they say, "Oh my God, there's no future for me. All only can do is like teach." And no, there's they do have some really good attributes that
Mhm.
they can apply to other parts, and it's just they have to learn about entrepreneurship. That's a skill. That's not something that overnight comes to you, but they
No.
do have good attributes again, like in trading and investing. I just want to mention that.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, we have talked about this on other shows, but we have about 10 minutes left, and I'd just like to touch on um, our successful musicians who make a lot of money. Doesn't necessarily put them in a position, would you agree, to manage it or to, right? Because they can make it and lose it many times over. We've got lots of
Absolutely.
evidence of that.
No, I mean it goes back again. Priorities, whether the money and materialistic things were the things, or was that the business side of things, trusting the wrong people. That plays a
Oh,
huge role, and it
mhm.
happens in any endeavor. But the athletes and musicians are the first ones, especially when they come to a large amount of money. So basically, it is important to have that little education themselves. But it goes back again to the culprit, right? So that free spirit and being
Mhm.
idealists, and also again their childhood, what they didn't have and what they want to have, and all that. So yes, so that's definitely it, and I think we did a show on that, and
Yeah,
that's
we do.
important to realize. that a lot of people are good at making money, and a couple of these songs are about that. But making money is different than keeping that money. It's huge difference. So the idea is about being wealthy. How do you define that? It's not about just creating the wealth for ourselves. It's how we can keep that
Mhm.
wealth and enjoy it. And so, but I know you've touched bases on this, and we've talked about it. Again, it goes back to that self-sabotage. There are a lot of successful people who make a lot of money, but for whatever reasons, they sabotage themselves at that deserving part of things, right? So they blow it, whatever, whether they gamble it or they just purposely lose it. And I've met these people, I know
Yeah.
them, and
Mhm.
they make millions of dollars, and then they're back to square one. Sometimes it goes back to setting the goal and achieving it, and then what? So the joy is to get to that goal. Ultimate goal is not, okay, once I read what I'm going to do with it. Ultimate goal, just reaching there. It's like a puppy or a dog running after a truck. And then what? It's that rush that they get out of that process. And then so they want to start square one again. So that's, again, the difference is not, you know, making the wealth, is how you do you want to keep that wealth, and then what is the purpose of that wealth. Again, that plays a huge role. And how do
Mhm.
we define freedom? That's, is it the freedom, what that money, which we'll discuss, for instance, in our 100 shades of prosperity, is part of our course, is what is the purpose of the money? What do we use the money for? And that gives us the goal to see, do I want to just achieve it, or do I want to achieve it and then do something with it? And what was the purpose of that? So,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And I know that any stories or research that I've done on celebrities, and of course, I wasn't looking at the money side, I was looking at the lifestyle side.
Right.
Why would I kill myself? Why would I can't keep a relationship? So I looked at all of that and came up with some pretty good solutions for that sort of thing. So it's the money's tied into that though. There's a connection for sure. I just never went that far. I just went into the personal shortcomings or limiting beliefs or whatever that is that would cause someone who is obviously enjoying success as far as society is concerned. And success in society is the big house, the big cars, the money in the bank, but no family life, no love in their life, no. And yeah, it's pretty interesting how they are so connected.
No. Now I'm gonna follow up on that. And again, it goes back to, how do we define success? How do we define freedom? Now you have, I just use simple examples. You have, and it has happened. I'm sure you see that, like a parent who worked for 30 years very hard to accumulate, to make sure, will have a good retirement, for instance. Now he looks back and says, was it worth to sit in that cubicle and work so hard and miss the children's sports or their, activities, and not share anything with the family? On the other hand, you have someone who's lost everything but shared a lot of times, had fun with the children or attended, but now has nothing today, for instance. He looks back and said, well, I could have done this. So it all depends, where we're coming from and how we define, again, that purpose. And then and what is, again, the freedom? Would that money give us the freedom of not to worry about, material things? Or is it, would that be the time? I think the biggest element, what the money does for us, is the freedom of time. I have the choice now. And that's what money is not evil, or what we do with it becomes. But as long as we have that clarity that now with that having whatever the security, whatever amount it is, that I am free to do with my time without having the pressure of force to do things that unwanted. And as long as I
Totally.
have that, I'm wealthy, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Spend time. I want to go travel and see the grandchildren or see parents or whatever without really having that pressure. And it doesn't have to be billions of dollars or millions of dollars. As long as that money gives me that freedom, I think life is the biggest commodity. I mean, time is the biggest commodity we have in life. And
Absolutely.
that's what
Well,
it
we
is.
always say, hey, you can always get your money back, but you can never get your time back.
Yes.
And that's more prevalent and more in my face as I get older. I'm going, wow, I should have, I'm just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
I guess I had to go through some things first, right? To
Good.
show myself that I can ride those waves and still land on my feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can always get our money back, but we can never get our time back.
True.
Sure. Well, I think we've opened up a few cans of worms today, Ramin, which is really our goal here, is to raise that level of awareness. So, because without the awareness, I cannot solve anything or resolve anything if I'm not aware of it. So, if we've got patterns that need to be changed in the financial area, or we need to educate ourselves, this is the platform that you and I have created for people. We're going to get started tonight. And I'm excited about that. Ramin and I have put together 100 workshops called 100 Shades of Prosperity. So 50 of those workshops are all the financial, technical, left brain stuff that Ramin can offer. But he's extremely right brain too, as you can imagine, to come up with this presentation today. I love it. And um, and then I'm going to work on the, we call them the soft side, but it's really the harder side because changing somebody's belief system takes a lot of work for that person to make that change. So let me say this, our workshop presentations are not for the faint hearted because it takes guts to leave the ruts. And so don't be, there's nothing wussy about this. You have to be able to face your demons and look at the truth straight in the eye and make the changes. And that's hard. That's really hard. And it scares the heck out of people because they go, what if, what if, what if? Well, my what if is, what if you become extremely wealthy? Then what? Like you said, then what? What are you going to do with it? I tell people all the time, I need bags of money, bags and bags and bags, because I have projects I want to complete. And it's to be of service to other people. And that's why you and I partnered up, because that's the same moral obligation that we both have, that we feel strongly about. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yes.
Hmm. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at it. Because health and wealth equals happiness. I don't know an unhappy, healthy, wealthy person because you're balanced. You must be balanced in all things. All right. Well, our time is just about up. This is the fastest hour of the week, is it not?
It is. It's
Holy
fun.
moly, we get a lot in there. And today we talked about musicians, music, musicians, and money. And Ramin connected how the mind of a musician is also the same or very close to the mind of a trader, investor. I love that. Anything else you'd like to say, Ramin, before we go? Tomorrow, the rest of the week, I'm double booked in meetings for the next few days. So we'll be recorded shows for the next few days. So if you haven't seen this show, here it is. We'll rerun it probably one of those days. I like to rerun our money shows because I believe they're very important. And I get to pick which shows I want to have them put up. So I go, pick one of the money shows 3 days in a row if you want. Over to you, Ramin. Anything else you have to say?
No,
We're good.
I think we are it's wonderful. And as you just mentioned, healthy and wealthy, those are the two priorities in life. That balance in life is important,
Right
and
on.
generally it leads to happiness. So yeah,
That's
I'm
right.
excited and look forward to seeing everyone next week.
You bet.
Everyone, wonderful week ahead. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So thank you, everyone. If you missed the show, you can always go in and watch it at your leisure. E360TV.com, our YouTube channel, Laurie Davis Show Host, and we're streaming live right now on the Facebook page, Self-Worth the Missing Link Superstars. And the one request we have is that you share the show. There may be somebody out there who needs to hear about what we talked about today, or even just one thing that either of us shared could change somebody's day. So don't click like. We don't care if you liked it. Just share it. Have a great rest of the week, everybody, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now.
bye bye.